Welcome back. People in the XRP community have been hearing some of the most controversial and wrong information in all of crypto for years. One of the most controversial and long-running of these is the 589 theory. For the most part, people think this theory is just a guess that XRP will hit $580 per coin someday. That assumption alone is one reason why people in the XRP community are often called crazy or involved in plots. But things are much more complicated than that. When looked at more closely, the 589 theory has less to do with price goals and more to do with how liquidity, market structure, and systemic stress may come together in the end. Before going into more detail about that, it's important to start by talking about the current state of the market. I talked about the crypto market as a whole earlier today and pointed out a few of the forces that are at play right now, such as the gap between supply and demand, the flow of money through ETFs, and the way that capital has been moving between asset classes. The 4-hour time frame is the chart I'm looking at the most closely right now from a technical point of view. That's where XRP is still going up, which is more important than most people think. Things haven't broken down. I want to see higher highs on the lower time frames as the new week starts. In particular, getting back $2 is very important. It would be much more important than it seems if the price closed each day above $2. That level wasn't chosen at random. It changes the direction of a resistance zone that has been in place since late November, takes back a support channel that has been guiding price action for months, and lines up with big support from last summer. Once, when XRP formed a strong base above $2, it set off a run that took the price above $360. That didn't happen all at once, and it won't happen again if it does. That's how strong moves are built, though, base by base, one step at a time. On the monthly chart, XRP has already made a higher low point. It only needs a higher high to turn the pattern fully bullish. That's why it's important to understand these signs, not because they promise a result, but because they show how money moves when systems are under a lot of stress. You need more than surface level analysis if you want to be in the top 1% before small stories become big news. That's why I put together the 100X Investor Bundle, a hand-picked collection of documents, videos, and infographics that explain how unequal wealth is created, how insiders react to changes in liquidity, and where real 100X chances appear before the rest of the market. That's why it was made, for serious buyers who want clarity over noise. You can find it in the video description. If you use the code Millionaire, you'll get a special deal. This is where the talk moves from numbers to stories, and this is why the XRP community has stayed such a hot topic of debate. People who own XRP have become interested in puzzles, codes, mysterious pictures, and posts made by strangers over the years. Bearable Guy 123 has been one of the most well-known sources of this rumors. On December 24th, a new post from that account went popular almost right away, getting millions of views and a lot of comments. The picture itself is full of meaning, but the number 589 is once again the most important thing. Just so you know, I don't trade based on puzzles. I don't look at pictures and think that XRP is about to travel to a crazy price. That's not how the market works. Structure, fundamentals, liquidity, and macro factors are much more important. Still, completely ignoring repeated trends is just as careless as believing them without question. The number 589 has been seen many times, and not just in weird places on the internet. Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, has been following exactly 589 social media names for years. That number is still the same. MoonPay, a company that is heavily involved in crypto infrastructure and openly backs XRP and RLUSD, recently talked about 589 bulbs on a broadcast on New Year's Eve, not 588, not 590, but 589. But even stranger, the mainstream media specifically counted how many bulbs were used in the Times Square show, which is something they don't do very often. I don't know why we need to know about this, the writer said. That wouldn't mean much on its own, but MoonPay shared the post again, and Caroline Pham, who used to be the acting chair of the CFTC and has ties to Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse, noted it. This isn't just store rumors going around in Telegram groups. These are figures from the same organization interacting with the same symbolic reference. This is where the real meaning of 589 starts to show up. The idea behind 589 isn't about XRP reaching 589. It was never really there. It all goes back to COMEX Rule 589, a very important rule that limits how much prices can change in futures markets, especially for metals like gold and silver. Rule 589 stops the flow of information. When prices move too quickly and too strongly, trade stops for a few seconds to keep markets from getting out of hand. These breaks are especially important when contracts are being settled because instability can get out of hand. Why does this matter now? Because the prices of silver, gold, platinum, and palladium are all moving almost vertically, which has never happened before. It was unthinkable just a short time ago that silver would go up to amounts that are now the norm. There's more than just new highs to talk about. We're talking about how prices move that shows stress in the system.